Artificial intelligence is rapidly moving beyond chatbots and automation tools and into the executive suite, changing the way business leaders forecast trends, make decisions, manage teams, and plan for growth. So, in the cleaning and facility solutions industry, where leaders are balancing labor challenges, customer expectations, operational complexity, and constant market shifts, AI is becoming more than a technology discussion. It's becoming a leadership discussion. And speaking of leaders, to dig into this topic, I'm pleased to welcome the president of ISSA, a seasoned CEO herself, about how leaders can use AI not to replace people, but to become more strategic, more informed, and more effective. So, Laurie Sewell, good to see you today. Hope life is treating you well.
It is. Thank you.
As a CEO of a company, as a C-suite dweller yourself, today's topic is a good one, isn't it?
It is.
Do you use AI?
I do. Yes. Yes. Quite a bit. Probably more than my Gen Z children would like me to use. They're not as excited about it as I am.
I wonder why that is. That's interesting. You'd think that generation would be more excited, but AI is the hot topic of conversation every day. We cover it in our publications all the time. Do you think we're talking about it too much?
I don't think we're talking about it too much. I kind of think we're talking around it too much, and maybe not enough about the outcomes that we want from it. I think there's these like polars of, oh, it's going to destroy everything or it will save everything. And I think more importantly, I think we need to think about what are we designing it to do and who benefits. So I've spoken a lot about something called inclusive prosperity, and I think about that particularly around our frontline teams, right? Frontline cleaners, frontline, folks working in the plants and the warehouses. And I'm just, I'm really excited about AI making things more efficient, but also how can we use it as an opportunity for people to grow and grow together so it doesn't increase haves and have-nots, which is something that's really important to me.
I know that AI is often discussed as a tool for technicians, for marketers. People write ad copy, they create graphics. There's so much they do. You might say in the weeds. Office staff will use it to do their work, but it's moving into executive leadership more and more every day. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you see AI changing the role of CEOs and senior leaders in our industry over the next few years. What do you see coming?
So I think leaders ideally will be spending a lot less time gathering information, and interpreting information, right? So which is good, but that means the skill set has to change a little bit, right? They have to change a little bit from just identifying data, but now looking at trends and then looking around corners and thinking ahead. So I think it's going to be a lot less about looking behind and looking forward. I jokingly talk about, my founder had a clipping service, which you're probably going, what is that? Anybody, under a certain age is going to, what's a clipping service? But it was a company that would literally clip out articles and things in newspapers and magazines about your competitors, your industry that you serve, the service, the clients that you serve. And that was the way you kind of stayed on top of what was happening. And then we moved to like internet searches and Googles, or like following our favorite, following them on LinkedIn, following our clients on LinkedIn, following our competitors on LinkedIn to kind of assess what's happening in the market. But now we have market intelligence tools like AlphaSense and Third Bridge. They comb millions of websites and documents and calls and things to give us information. So I think the idea is taking what those trends and those insights and those competitor information was, and how are we going to shift from kind of like what happened to what should we do next? What does this mean? Because the information is coming at us so rapidly, but how are we identifying what to do with that information? So I think that's going to be the key of how CEOs use AI more than, large language models and writing things, or like I did today when I created a new background with an AI tool and I said, make it an upscale office, but not cold. And literally in 8 seconds, this is what I got.
first of all, I have to admit, I remember clipping services, Lori.
Okay.
So I think I was at the very end of it though, so I will say that. But yeah, those were actually a business, so that brought me down memory lane a bit. And their background looks good. That was just an AI. You just prompted it. You just,
Yep.
all right. You know, so much we just don't know yet, and we'll continue to learn. But let's move into this thought. Many leaders are overwhelmed by maybe what we just said. There's so much data, decisions, responsibilities they carry every day. They have things to do and they want help to get it done. So, how do you think AI will help them actually do that to make smarter, faster, strategic decisions? And here's the best part of my question, I think, without losing the human side of leadership. That is
Oh,
important.
no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, ideally, AI will save us time so that we can spend more time coaching and working with our teams and having human interactions with our customers and our workforce. Ideally, right? So it takes away the behind the computer time, because that's going to speed up, and ideally you'll be spending more time with people. Now that's the ideal. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think we have to be very purposeful in doing that. I think about, we don't need more dashboards. I mean, we have enough dashboards, we have enough data, but imagine if AI could review things like staffing trends, labor costs, customer feedback, your operations data, your financial performance, your production schedules, your distribution routes, all of that, and then asking it, great, I have all this data and all this information, but what are the three things that I need to pay attention to this week? Or what are the trends that are going to impact my business 6 months from now, a year from now? Or how do you look at these trends in relation to this client sector that I'm servicing? So I think the idea isn't just getting all this great data, it's asking really good questions, curious questions that hopefully aren't just from one leader, but you're teaching your teams to do so that they're working together to ask those good questions to then take that data and do good work with it.
Let's talk about delegation because, boy, we talk about that a lot, and a lot of people just don't do it. Business owners, they find it difficult to let go. So,
Mhm.
do you see our conversation today and what you've shared, AI helping leaders delegate more effectively while still maintaining that same control, accountability culture, building a good culture and quality standards? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I know. I think what you said was, I think most people think if I let go, I lose control, right? And I don't need to tell you about the control issues that I have had or have, but I believe it's fairly common for people in the C-suite and leaders to have some level of control issues. But I think one of the things that I learned is, I can't be the subject matter expert in everything, right? And my concern is with AI, now leaders are going to say I can, right? Because I've got this information. So I think they need to be even more careful about what they delegate, and delegate more, because the tendency might be, I don't need that information, or I don't need something from somebody because I can get it from here. But I also think if you're concerned about letting go and losing control, AI can create like visibility of what your team is doing to give you more confidence in your team, but you don't want to micromanage, right? I think you could, track their commitments. You could, identify, quickly how people are doing in their metrics or whatnot. And ideally, you'll spend less time checking on people and trusting that they're doing the work, because there'll be ways to quickly validate that work is being done or that work is being done well. So if we use AI for that, then maybe we may be encouraged to delegate more.
Two more questions for you. And this one, I'm thinking back to the when the pandemic started and how people were working from home and now they're going back to the office and maybe they're not as full, maybe the energy's not there as much as it used to be. So now we have
Mhm.
AI that can also contribute to a colder and more disconnected workplace. Some say that. Don't know how
Yeah.
true that might be, but some feel that. So, as a leader and a CEO yourself, how do you balance all that technology and automation while still protecting company culture, employee engagement, and relationships?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, technology ideally should remove friction, right? We're getting things done quicker, we're getting things done maybe more accurately. And ideally, that can encourage better interactions with teams, right? But it shouldn't replace the human interaction. I mean, culture isn't built around software, right? I think it's built around, those human interactions. So if AI removes that kind of repetitive work, ideally managers will have more time to coach. They will have more time to support. They will have more time to recognize. They will have more time to mentor, ideally. But that has to be a very specific choice to say, what am I going to do with the time that I've gained here? I'm going to spend it interacting with my team, or I'm going to spend it interacting with my customer more. So it has to be very, very purposeful. Or I think we all know vacuums, fill really quickly with more to-dos. And I think we saw that when we all got, cell phones and laptops and, as much as efficient as we got, we just did more work. And so I think it's important that the more efficient we get, the more we purposely find ways to have human interaction with, those important stakeholders.
Yeah, I'm kind of sensing a theme here, Lori, as we talk, because the using tech and AI and everything we're discussing frees you up to maybe focus more on that human perspective, that personal touch than before. And that's really great. That's where real change happens. That's where people feel valued. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But we have to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you even have to like calendar it, if you will, on your calendar that I'm going to go and spend my time, doing this or doing that. Or like I said, we can all just get busy.
Hmm. Okay, so let's wrap it up. Speaking to the cleaning and facility solutions industry, especially owners of companies who may feel intimidated by AI or unsure where to start. Talk about a few practical steps from Lori that will help them to see this as an advantage rather than a threat or something to run from.
Yeah, yeah. So don't, everybody wants to start with the technology. They want to start with Copilot or Chat or Claude or Sunos or, I'll work with making music for fun, just like jingles to crack up my team. I don't have a lot of time to do that, but I've done it once, just to learn a new system. But I wouldn't start with technology. I'd start with like, what's your problem? What are your pain points? What's taking too much time? What's frustrating your team? Where are we having to continue to solve the same problem? What are we doing that's problematic? Like maybe in it could be scheduling, it could be proposal development, right? It could be hiring. Where is your biggest pain points? And that's where I would think about, how can AI help us with that? We're doing a lot more of that in our business. We're also looking for some of our technologies that we use today for our finance systems are at end of life. And so to look for partners that have AI built in, or that they're really investing in AI, is really important as well. So I would suggest looking at where you need the help the most, and then looking for AI as a solution rather than trying to shoehorn an AI product into your everyday work.
That's almost too simple, but
It
it's
is.
excellent
And
thought.
I'm not known for my
No,
complex decision.
I say that because you wouldn't go to Home Depot and buy a pipe wrench until you had a reason to use the pipe wrench.
Right.
Why would you use an AI or try to learn an AI tool until you had the challenge or the situation where it's going to work?
Yeah.
I do see, Laurie, companies out there getting all the AI stuff. They're using all of it there, but what are they going to use it on? That's the question. I like what your perspective there. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, if you think about what we've been talking about, it's not about becoming an AI expert. It's about like becoming really curious about, hey, how AI can help you, and then finding the right the right product, and then becoming functional. And I even say functional because AI is changing so much that product that you're loving today might not be here 6 months from now, a year from now, or you're going to have a whole different option. So, I also would say don't get super invested.
Exactly. And AI does make mistakes sometimes. I think I see a big water stain on a tile in the ceiling behind you. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
I asked for that. I said, don't make it look real.
Yeah, give me a water stain in the ceiling. No. Laurie, always a pleasure. Thank you for
Yes, Jeff.
this. And hopefully those watching will be able to apply some of this and make real change in their businesses and themselves.